that mysterious in New York's Central Park, and the race to find out who and what caused a blast. Investigators are testing the explosive material found at the scene that cost a young tourist part of his leg. ABC's Mara Schiavocampo has more. Joins us this morning from Central Park. Good morning, Mara.
Robin, good morning. Officials say that explosive material was left inside a plastic bag, and they do not think that it was left here to intentionally hurt someone, though there are still a lot more questions than answers. This as we learn more about that teenage victim. This morning, new details on the explosion in New York's Central Park that seriously injured an 18-year-old tourist. Police insisting the blast not an act of terrorism.
What seems likely at this point is that I'd refer to them as an explosive hobbyist or an experimenter. I believe we have somebody that made this material and then he wanted to test it. If somebody lives in that vicinity, their backyard is Central Park. It's sort of an ideal location conducive to conducting that kind of experiment.
The victim, now identified as Connor Golden, a Florida college student and avid skateboarder. His friends say he was simply walking on some rocks in the park Sunday morning, planning a hike later that day when the unthinkable happened.
We don't know what happened. There was a small explosion and then dust.
Beyond the caliber of fireworks, just based on what we heard. We think he stepped on something.
The moment of the blast caught on camera. NYPD officers rushing to the scene. Horrified witnesses looking on.
Saw his friend standing there panicking, ran up the hill and found the young man laying on the rocks.
He had a very, very severe leg injury.
His family telling ABC News Golden has now had his left foot amputated.
His life will never be the same, and I am very sad.
Now, Golden's family says that he is in serious but stable condition with his parents by his side. Officials stress that he and his two friends are not considered suspects. They also add that the lab results for that explosive material are due back tomorrow. George?
So scary. Okay, Mara, thanks very much. Let's get more on this now from ABC News consultant Steve Ganyard and former New York City Police Commissioner Ray Kelly. Commissioner Kelly, you're right here with me. You hear the police right there. They say right now they're pretty sure whoever did this didn't mean to harm. How can they be sure?
Well, if you look at it's not even a device, it's a bag full of explosives. It had no shrapnel in it, it wasn't tamped, it wasn't in a container. They can't be absolutely certain, but the investigative premise now, you might say, is that this was perhaps a chemistry student, something along those lines, trying to make fireworks for the events on July 4th.
Steve, you worked on demining when you were at the State Department, and you're a little more skeptical.
Yeah, I think it needs to be an open question, George. We have lots of premeditation, somebody who calls themselves a hobbyist with an interest in chemistry. This is somebody who went to lengths to create a dangerous explosive material. So 4th of July, public place, I think we need to keep this as an open question about what the motive and what the intent was.
And Ray, one of the big open questions right now is what this explosive material was. That could tell you a lot.
Absolutely, and that's supposedly the results are coming back tomorrow. Mark Torrey, who's an experienced investigator, said that it's chemicals that he doesn't particularly recognize. They'll be obviously continuing to check the cameras. They'll want to talk to this person if possible, and they'll do a lot of checking on the internet, see if there's groupings of people that perhaps talk about making fireworks, that sort of thing. So the investigation is far from over.
And Steve, this explosive, it created a pretty big blast.
It did, George, and that's partially what's concerning here. The U.S. military has been dealing with these so-called homemade explosives in Iraq and Afghanistan for over a decade, where they see jihadists or insurgents doing this sort of home brew, this home slurry of these very unstable chemicals that they turn into explosives for IEDs. And so the ability to make a small batch could lead to a big batch. And so this is not something as benign, I think, as the police are making it out to be. It's something that we need to consider as a domestic terror incident.
And Commissioner Kelly, it comes at such a dangerous time. Everyone on the highest alert because of the spate of bombings all over the world.
Absolutely. We have Orlando, we have Istanbul, we have Baghdad, we have Saudi Arabia. So it's understandable that people aren't on edge, and I think they'll be getting to the bottom of this fairly soon once they determine what's in the bag.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly, Steve Gaynor, thanks very much.